What is going on, everybody, man? Listen to me. Gintama confirmed to return on May 13th. Now, regardless of whether we get it translated by then or a little before then or a little after, of course, it's yet to be seen. But for right now, the chapter is scheduled to come out in Japan on the Gintama app on May 13th. So, and this legendary chapter is going to be 100. Gotta make sure, I'm alive. Gotta pinch a little bit just to make sure I'm not dreaming. The next chapter of Gintama is going to be 100 pages long. Now, for longtime fans of the series, we remember how it was back in the day, or I wasn't around for the early days, but at least for like the back whenever the 400s wasn't animated, right? And we had so many arcs in the series aside from the big ones, and even the big ones are relatively short compared to other series out there. But in comparison to other series in Weekly Shonen Jump, Gintama has pretty short arcs. So, pre-Shogun Gintama would average an arc would be around like 2 to 5 chapters long usually, aside from like your courtesans, four devas, Benizakura, Yoshiwara, whatever the case may be. And even some of like the shorter serious arcs were around that same length as well. So Sorachi used to tell very good stories in a very short amount of time. And since Shogun, he's definitely taken the longer, more like Tolkien approach of approaching his stories, to where he wants to make his arcs one long epic tale, which is what we've seen since everything past Shogun Assassination. So, with that being said, what he's about to give us is 5 chapters in one chapter. 100 pages. And from where we left off last chapter, it's going to need it. It's going to need it, man. That last chapter to me still sticks out in my mind as being such an emotional roller coaster of a chapter. And I still think about it quite often. And I'm honestly scared, man, of this chapter because, just in case somebody's watching this video and they're not caught up, I'm not going to say much about what's going on. But because of the current situation that's going down, and we already saw what the anime episode, or the anime preview, was hinting at, which was content that we have not seen, in the manga at least, I can assume that's how the chapter's going to start out. And I can assume that Sorachi, because he's going to give us so many pages, that he's going to be flipping around from different things. But the main core of the next chapter is going to be what ended it off. And I would not be surprised if, at the very least, the confrontation between those two that we saw at the end of last chapter ends. And by that I mean that my boy might die. And I don't know if I'm ready for that, man. I really, really don't. So, we'll see what happens. Aside from that, of course, even with that, I'm very, very excited. Obviously, 100 pages of Gintama. Sorachi returning with a glorious 100 pages on his app. And it's going to be 100% Sorachi, with no one to tell him what to do or not to do. Not like he would listen anyway. He doesn't give a flying flag nars, but it's going to be really, really nice to have 100 pages of Gintama. And I don't know how much more I can say. It's just, with everything that's been going down, it makes a lot of sense. And to me, I think Sorachi understood it more than us fans, because we were joking around in the last stream that I did for the last chapter that the next chapter needs to be 50 to 60 pages long. And Sorachi said, screw that, we're going double. We're going 100. So Sorachi understands, just as much as we do as fans, how important this next confrontation is. This next confrontation to me is, from what I was saying, if the man is still alive, allow these two to meet. Because that would allow for some of the most emotional and incredible moments in the entire story, which is what we're about to get. I have been waiting for this moment for so long, and it's gonna suck if this chapter drops on a work day of mine. Because the chapter is so long, it's gonna be really, really hard for me to do, but I will squeeze time in, man. For this chapter, I most certainly will. So, once again, he's scheduled to come back on May 13th, 100 pages long, and with the content he's about to bring out, man, this is about to be a wild chapter. And my question remains from the last chapter is, what is Sorachi planning on doing now once this is all said and done? Because I know that he still has this one last story he wants to tell. And maybe this is what a lot of us are waiting for. You know how back for quite some time, we had been wondering if Sorachi will ever fully explore the Joy War flashback stuff from Gintoki's perspective. Because we've seen it from Takatsuki's perspective. And we've seen a few things from Gin's perspective, both in a troll way and a non-troll way. And of course as well from Katsura's perspective. So, and then of course we saw Utsuro and his entire backstory. So, it just makes you think, is this chapter going to have a lot of flashbacks? Because, you know what, man? I'm going to go into it. If you are not caught up to the Gintama manga, please exit the video. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. I think that this right here, I think this chapter is going to have Takatsuki, Utsuro, and Gintoki. And at the end of the day, we're going to get, of course, sightings of Shoyo, and we're going to be seeing that entire thing play out, which is going to destroy me emotionally. But I think overall, this would be the perfect opportunity for Sorachi to give us a situation similar to what he gave us back in chapters 514 to 520 with Gintoki versus Takatsuki, where it was the fight, and then we got flashback, and then we got fight. To me, if Takatsuki's gonna die, I would love a few chapters dedicated to, I don't know how to word this. I feel like if Sorachi wants to go back to the Joy War one last time for what connects these 3 characters, and maybe tell a story that he has never told before from back in those times, maybe when they were kids, or whatever the case may be, I think it would be a good way to do it now. Or he could just take the regular flashback route and do it in between his fight scenes, which would be cool regardless. But I do think because it's 100 pages, we're going to be getting flashbacks, and like I said, we're going to be bouncing around, seeing what all the other characters are up to as well. But the main basis of this chapter is going to be Gintoki and Takatsuki versus Shoyo. And that is something I'm not ready for, man. It's going to be crazy. I wonder how he's going to end such a big and epic chapter. But we'll see, man. All of our questions will be answered when the chapter drops on May 13th. And you can definitely expect a stream for that. I definitely want to stream that, so that way directly after the chapter we can talk about it and discuss the future of the series after that. Because for all we know, these next couple chapters could conclude this battle right here. Like, who knows? Who knows? So I want to know what Sorachi's up to. I mean, I said this in the last in the last few videos, but to me, I want Takatsuki to live, man. But if the story, in order to progress, a man needs to die, bro, I will accept it. I mean, I'm gonna be destroyed, but I will accept it, man. I really will. So, in this upcoming chapter, I don't expect the entire arc to be resolved. Of course, I don't. This is not the end, but at the very least, the conflict with Takatsuki and Shoyo and that story probably concludes next chapter with Takatsuki's death. However, if Takatsuki and Toki manage to take out Shoyo and or save him, as save, destroy, whatever, if they do it together, and that's why Sorachi decided to dedicate 5 chapters to give us something similar to what he did back for Gin versus Sugi, where he gave us those 6 chapters of, aside from going back to Kintoki or to Kagura versus Kamui, we got non-stop that and flashbacks. So if this chapter is just that, by God, it might be the best chapter in the series. So I'm excited. But even with that, in the same way that we switched back to Kamui versus Kagura and Shogun, I do want to see the other characters, because Gintama is all about its cast, and it's a grand cast of amazing characters. So I do want to see the Shinsengumi, the Yorozuya. I want to see what's going on their sides too. So with 100 pages, Sriracha can do a lot. We know what the man could do with only 20 pages. So I'm excited. I can't wait. We'll see what happens though, man. I hope everybody has an awesome sauce of a night and or day. And I will see y'all when Gintama drops. To all my Gintama fans out there. To my fellow Gintama fans, I should say. And I will see y'all on May 13th or whenever the chapter drops, man. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be emotional. I can already tell. And it's something that I know all of us are not ready for, but we're also ready for it, man. You know, it's the classic Gintama way. But I'll see y'all then. Let me know what your predictions for next chapter down below. What do you expect to see? What don't you expect to see? And why do you think Sorachi decided to give us 100 chapters for this spectacle, you know? God, man. What a madman. But I'll see y'all next time. Have a blessed one, man. Go Tama.